going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz, Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check. I'll say it right off the bat. This is going to be another one of my rambles, another one of my. I don't have any notes. I've just got to say some shit out loud, and I might as well say it on camera, share it with you guys, see what you guys think, and I guess keep the conversation going, as I always say in my lighthearted way at the end of every video. I've said in several videos, in several Q&As, in several, why does wrestling mean as much to me as it does? Why does this community mean as much to me as it does? Why do you go to a live event rather than staying at home and all that sort of thing? I've always said that there's two things that bind me to wrestling. First thing is that it's been around for me forever. Before I had, when I was younger, didn't have a lot of friends and all that sort of shit, and wham, I'm not here to give you guys a pity party. Wrestling was there for me when school sucked, when work sucked, when people in my life were being dumb, when, family situations weren't so great, when social situations weren't so great. Wrestling was there for me in a way. I've said many times on this channel, I've used wrestling as my crutch for a long ass time. I have a lot of respect for wrestling. The other side of the coin that binds me to wrestling is the camaraderie of wrestling fans. And wrestling fans come together. I'm going to try not to be too cliche here, and we know how that usually goes on this channel. Wrestling fans come together because we get it. I mean, if you look at the outsider's perspective on what we're watching, there is no reason to watch wrestling. To an outsider, you got a bunch of guys pretending to fight and telling soap opera stories. And I could be watching boxing, or I could be watching UFC, or I could be watching actual competitive sports, so I actually get some, satisfaction in picking a winner, picking a loser, etc., rather than picking which way I think a writer is going to write a story. And I mean, let's face it, the people that think that are not that far off. But the wrestling fans come together, A, because we get it, and B, because we know what it's like to deal with people that aren't. And I've said, then those of you that have been watching this channel for a long time, you guys know I've said this shit before. We know what it's like to deal with non-wrestling fans. We know what the non-wrestling fans think of us. Oh, they're fucking faggots, and they're all hillbillies, and they all live in trailers in their mom's basements, and rah-dee-rah, and they're all nut bars, and they think it's real, and they're stupid, and we all get together as a community, and we laugh at the people that don't watch wrestling because they don't get it. We laugh at the people who don't watch the guys in spandex pretending to beat each other up with chairs, because they don't get it, and it's fine, and it's wonderful, because for the most part, you want to say, and we sort of cling to the belief that those guys are basing their opinions, or those guys or girls or people in general are basing their opinions on bullshit, and we are not actually the nutcases that the rest of the world paints us to be. This year, specifically, it's getting harder and harder and harder and harder to do that. I don't want to read dirt sheets. I want to read dirt sheets to find out, who the general manager of Raw is going to be, or, speculation on who's going to be the next tag team champions, or who's the next person that's going to come up from NXT. I don't want to read the shit that I've read this year. Recently, Bram's kicking the shit out of Charlotte, and he's arrested, and Snuka's, I don't know the full scenario on the Snuka thing, but, Snuka apparently killed his wife 20 years ago or so. Dusty died, Piper died, Warrior died, Savage died, and that's all that sort of thing. And I can separate myself from that because that's their world. There's the wrestlers and the fans live in the real world, and the wrestlers are off there in their wrestler world, if that makes any sense to me at all. So even though those things are all terrible, and we can all sit here as a community and say, it's terrible what Bram did, and it's terrible, Kurt Angle got arrested for drugs, and Jeff Hardy, my boy, fucked up his match with Sting a couple years ago, and it's all good. But at this stage, in 2015 especially, we are not doing any better. We, as a community, I mean, we don't police ourselves, but Jesus Christ, members of our community, whether you want to talk about, you know, casual wrestling fans in general, or the YWC, I mean, there's some violent-ass people in the YWC, and I have said multiple times, and you guys know exactly who I'm talking about, I have said there's people in the YWC that make this community look bad. And I almost want to take that back, because that should be saved for something else. There are, outside the YWC, there are wrestling fans that are just putting a missile in the boat of the fight to not be what they call us. Yes, there is an us and a they mentality. You know, there's wrestling fans, there's non-wrestling fans, there's the ones that get it, and we hold ourselves all individually and collectively up on that pedestal because we are great, we get it. And they don't, you know, they're missing out, they're on the outside looking in. We do our damnedest to make sure, or at least come up with random reasons why we are not what they call us. But people are putting holes in our fucking boat in that fight. I talked before about the riot, or the mini riot, that happened after the Royal Rumble. People pissed off that Daniel Bryan didn't win. Blocking in cars, blocking in parking lots, creating unsafe traffic situations for the wrestlers that were just there to do their jobs at the end of the day and wanted to get home to their hotel, because they don't even, you all get to go home from the show, go home to your own bed, to your own house, to your own family, and be home. They get to go to some cold ass hotel room, or a bar, or a collection of hotel rooms, or a collection of bars, or whatever you want to call it. They don't get to go home, but they don't even get to leave the arena because we didn't get a storyline that we wanted, so now we're going to barricade the wrestlers in and cause a safety situation for everybody, for ourselves, for the wrestlers, for anybody else trying to get out of that parking lot, and anybody else on that fucking road. I've done that. I've ranted on that already. The asshole that took his girlfriend's 1-year-old, gave him a rock bottom onto a bed, which was dumb enough, gave the kid whiplash, whatever, and then basically crushed the kid's skull because giving a 1-year-old the last ride seemed like a fucking wonderful idea. Fuck me. Fuck me. Recently, okay, yes, it's funny, it's hilarious, it's hysterical. Somebody pegged Roman Reigns. Nobody likes Roman Reigns. Rah. Still took a steel briefcase and chucked it at the back of another human being's skull. I don't care if it's Roman Reigns. I don't care if you think he's the next John Cena. I wouldn't care if it was John Cena. I don't like Naomi. I don't even want that to happen to Naomi. I don't like Rey Mysterio. I don't particularly like Daniel Bryan these days. I didn't like Santino Marella. I didn't like Sheamus when he was a face. I didn't like Kelly because she was fucking useless. There's a difference. It doesn't make it okay to be fucking insane, and on top of all that, make them right. Give them more bullets for their gun. Give the Nancy Graces and the 2020s and the ABC News and the Fox News and the headline all the wrong headlines. The same fuckers that are out there crucifying Hulk Hogan, because not only can they crucify Hulk Hogan to get ratings, but they can also use it as another notch in the badge, as CM Punk would say, against pro wrestling, like they did with Chris Benoit, like they did when Eddie Guerrero passed away, like they did every time they found out somebody was on steroids, like they're going to do with this Snuka situation now. The fans aren't doing wrestling any more favors than those wrestlers are. Those same fans would crucify those wrestlers when those news stories came out, because it would get them views, it would get them talking, it would make them feel relevant, and all that sort of thing, but they are not doing any better. They're not doing any better. You're going to cause a car accident outside the Royal Rumble. You're going to kill a 1-year-old. You're going to potentially, like, let's be real, potentially paralyze somebody by hucking a chunk of metal at the back of their skull. Now, we got two more, and I have to say this, guy. I got 2 more stories to talk about tonight. The lesser of which is an attempted stabbing. Okay, the thing with Roman Reigns happened at a house show in Vancouver. I'm ashamed to say that it happened up here in Canada. That is fucked up. And and that was bad enough. That was a projectile and whatever. Some asshole not only is dumb, psychotic, malicious, whatever you want to call it, at a SmackDown taping, hops over the guardrail, thinks it's a brilliant idea to run up the rampway with a knife and try to stab Dean Ambrose. Not only is this fucking great, like, this goes right along with the Roman Reigns thing. Roman Reigns, you know, all the fans came out, and psychotic fucking fans that make us all look bad, that make me ashamed to be in the same group as you, saying, oh, well, if Roman Reigns was a better character, if WWE booked him better and he was better in the ring and he didn't suck so much, that wouldn't have happened. Go fuck yourself. You know, people are coming up with the same bullshit with Dean Ambrose on the other side. Look at how great a character he is. Look at, he's a babyface, but he's still managing to pull off heel means. He's getting the same kind of heat that Sergeant Slaughter got back in the day when he's an Iranian sympathizer. No, a psycho in the crowd tried to stab him legitimately. Like, I don't know, I know his name in the Indies was Jon Moxley. I don't know if that's his real name or not. But somebody at the end of the day, John Smith, in the front row at SmackDown, who had enough money or enough connections to get a front row seat at SmackDown, got himself up into the aisleway, close enough to Dean Ambrose to be tackled by security and handcuffed and taken out of the arena. Because I'm sorry, as soon as that guy is as soon as there is a single picture, a single tweet, a single Facebook post, a single Instagram picture of that guy, and it makes it into the media, that's the guy that represents wrestling fans. That is the guy that had the briefcase that he was getting all the wrestlers to sign before he chucked it at Roman Reigns. As soon as that guy's video, as soon as that guy's picture, that guy's Facebook post, that guy's Instagram, that guy's YouTube video, that guy's, you know, 5 or 6 seconds of fame on some local newsreel, then they look at that guy and say, that's what wrestling fans are, and it pisses me off. Some guy kills a 1-year-old. He makes it into the news. They say that's what wrestling fans are. You know, all these friggin' mobs that you know, just want to be part of the crowd, or, you know, are convinced because WWE laid down for them once that they get to make the final say, and their word goes, and by any means necessary, power to the people, are gonna cause a massive car wreck outside of the Royal Rumble. That made it on the news. That made it on YouTube. That was trending on Twitter. And that is what they are going to say that wrestling fans are. Now you get to the Performance Center. The Performance Center. Where some guy... Let me say it again. Where some guy is out there at the Performance Center stalking some random diva. Here's the thing that makes internet fans look especially bad. Stalking some indie or new developmental diva that we don't even know yet. We don't even know yet because the name hasn't been released. It's not somebody from the NXT or WWE roster, so it's not somebody that for any reasonable reason should even be known yet. This guy is obsessing over her. Fine, wonderful. I'm a fan of divas. I'm not gonna try and fuck one of them at the Performance Center. Oh, no, I'm not. I'm pretty sure that the Becky Lynches and the Alexa Blisses and the Paiges and the Sasha Bankses got much better offers than me because I live in the real world. I get to chill with cool people like Emo Kitty Cat and Kristen from the Wrestle Recap Show and Steffi Sunshine and cool people like that. I hang out with those friends. I don't stalk soon-to-be celebrities at the Performance Center. This is a guy, this was a shooting. This guy was shot by cops, and you figure of all the other cop thing, and this is an entirely other thing, you figure of all the other cop shootings that have made it into the news recently, oh, we'd be having sympathy for this kid. I don't have sympathy for this kid because this kid is either psychotic or a dumbass, or so fucking ignorant that he thought he could do what he was doing after the girl had I don't know, I'm just saying the girl because her name's not released. His name's not released either, by the way. She had a restraining order. And the Performance Center had a restraining order against this guy. The Performance Center, let's just delve into this for a second. The Performance Center had a restraining order for this guy because after the 3rd or 4th time he was caught painting the side of the wall. Now everybody's going to say to me, or anybody that hasn't read this article is going to say, well, okay, yeah, he was trespassing, he was doing graffiti, he was doing a little bit creepy, until they release the video of this guy in his home making this quote-unquote paint out of sour milk and his own shit. This is something I thought would be reduced or specifically, like, left behind for somebody like Skyline Jericho or somebody like Sean's View Entertainment making his educational videos. But no, this is a guy taking it out into the real world with his piss and shit and sour milk paste and painting the walls of the performance center and getting a restraining order, stalking this girl to the point that she had a restraining order, and still coming back and thinking that his last lunge is going to be to try and run at the cops with a knife, and then he gets shot. Does it suck that somebody had to get shot in this situation? Okay, I'll give you that. But I'm not giving this guy any sympathy because, much like the guy that powerbombs the 1-year-old, much like the guy that makes it onto social media for trying to stab Dean Ambrose or assaulting Roman Reigns, much like all those fucking crazy-ass mob lunatics outside the Royal Rumble, much like every other fan that has ever, you know, tried to run in the ring and caught a boot from Savage back in the day, or a good right hand from Hogan, or whoever was policing the ring back then, they are the ones that they will say are wrestling fans. So when this guy's story makes it into the media, makes it onto No DQ, makes it onto PW Torch, makes it onto Fox News or TMZ, or God forbid falls on the desk of somebody like a Nancy Grace, some guy so obsessed with a diva that he got himself shot after painting the performance center in his own bodily excrement is what wrestling fans are. Fuck me. And this is where you can't blame the media. This is where you can't blame the wrestlers, the wrestling companies. This is where you can't blame, you know, the commentators and the Nancy Graces, and the only name I know off the top of my head, I'm not gonna lie. You can't blame any other news commentator or any other for talking shit about wrestling, talking shit about wrestling fans. Guys, this falls on our shoulders. It does. It really does. And it's like, you know, you want to talk about their isolated incidences, but this is really shit. I don't really even know what I'm up here saying right now, but this is fucking shit. We, and I mean this as the collective we, and I'm not saying we all start policing each other. I'm not advocating anything like that, because God knows there's enough people in this community that tell each other what to do already. But for fuck's sake, let's draw out maybe some simple guidelines. Like, let's try not stabbing people. Like, let's try not killing babies. Let's try not pressuring the WWE to put a guy that killed his entire family into the Hall of Fame. Let's not run to the defense of an admitted racist who's going to do more damage to the industry than good. Let's not shit in a bucket and paint a fucking wall with it because you're obsessed with a diva that's not even here yet. Fuck me. I used to be... This is the shift. I used to be mad at them. I used to be mad at them, and the shitty thing is right now, they that are as ignorant and arrogant and incorrect and inaccurate and misguided as they are, the shitty thing is, in 2015, we're getting to the point where they aren't the problem anymore. And a lot of wrestling fans are good, don't get me wrong. A lot of wrestling fans need to take a look in the mirror and figure out what the fuck they're doing. 'Cause this is fucking crazy. And, I don't know. I don't even know what this video is meant to be, other than to say that people are fucking crazy. And this video is not going to change that, but like I say, needed to have a vent about it. Thought I'd share it with you guys. No notes, as you can clearly tell. Let me know what you think down in the box below. The two most recent events, the shooting at the Performance Center and the almost stabbing of Dean Ambrose, along with the other incidences that have happened just this... Guys, it's 2015 is like only 2/3 over, and we've already got this many stories to tell. I don't know. Throw your thoughts down in the box below. I'm done rambling. It's way too hot to rant for any longer than I already have. More positive vids coming tomorrow. The return of the fights on Wednesday night. Let's see what NXT has to offer us. I hope it doesn't smell like shit. I've been Spaz, your YWC Reality Check. Subscribe up there. Talk down there. Start a conversation. Keep all these conversations going, because it's a good one. I forgot the end of my thing now. Don't be a stranger. I'll talk to each and every last one of you later, but for right now, I'm tagging out. And if you're crazy, fucking stop it.
So shine, you're a freak like me.